Welcome to Drawing Large and Small, me. I want to thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guy Atchison's RIT, Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real-world events, share and inspire as we ultimately create better and tattoos together. Better art and tattoos together, sorry. My second time doing this, so you guys are bear with me. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, we've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo art and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. Like I said, you're currently watching Drawing Large and Small with me. You may be beaming in from YouTube or Facebook or listening to the podcast, but you can always get the latest schedule and notifications at the RIT, the official Reinventing the Tattoo community. The app can be found at both app stores, Apple Store and Google Play, or the community, or directly at the community.rit.com. All Reinventing the Tattoo Network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars, seriously, can all be enjoyed on demand and found in the library, as well as the YouTube and podcast channels. There are countless tattoo and art rabbit holes, perfect for front room studio or to entertain tattoo clients. I've been doing that lately. I've been like, like tattoo clients, they've been enjoying some of the shows that we put on, and they dig it, especially some of the informative ones, like some of the historical documents on tattooing. In fact, we're going to be beaming out on 4 channels 24/7. Enter to win a goodie bag at reinventing247.com. Look right now on our reinventing247.com. It's also in Spanish channel, shining cartridges, raw pigments, samples are coming in the goodie bag. You get Cheyenne equipment, you get Cheyenne cartridges, you get some raw pigments, which is awesome. I've been switching everything over to raw pigments, and I love it. The black and gray washes are incredible, and the colors are just there'll be some other things in there, some other goodie bags. I've got some t-shirts and stuff like that coming with them. Check them out, see what you guys think. Some of the weekly things we have going on. Sundays, the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Leeser. You can kind of join in on Sundays. It was the first time that I ever joined in, was on Jason's show. It was a great time. You can go over any projects you're working on or wanting any critiques, usually just hanging out, or possibly even asking some Procreate tips and tricks. He's a whiz at that stuff, and he helps me out pretty often. At 9 p.m. weekly, we have Mondays in the morning with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. Monday evenings at 9 p.m. All subscribers can join in with Drawing Group with Guy Atchison. If you guys haven't had a chance to do that, I definitely recommend, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. That alone, along with all these other things that we're mentioning, are well worth it. It's bumped my game up tremendously. So check it out. Tuesdays, 10 a.m. with me. Thank you guys for joining. Wednesdays, 12 noon, the Tattoo Now show. Thursdays, 12 noon, the Tattoo Collecting podcast. If you guys get a chance to drop in on those, they're always fun. You get to get some insights, some opinions, some different perspectives on what it is that gets these people to get the tattoos that they want, what their interests were, and whenever they're getting them. It's always fun to drop in on those sessions. Thursdays, 7 p.m. subscribers with Kier Franklin. All skill levels and apprentices are encouraged. If you guys want to join in on those, they're awesome. She goes over a lot of the art fundamentals. Last week, she covered composition, which is very near and dear to me. And she covered some techniques and tricks into finding underlying shapes on her composition. It's pretty cool. If you guys get a chance to check it out, check it out. And if not, join and come on in next Thursday, this coming Thursday. Let's see. There's some upcoming pro development and on-demand things coming our way. Andre Malcolm, BJ Betts. There's going to be a Bob Tyrell documentary or course on here. BJ Betts will be doing some lettering. and real world events. We're going to be doing a BYOB October 3rd through 6th, 2011. I'm sorry, 2021. And we'll be webcasting shows live there. November 12th through 14th, the Brussels Tattoo Convention. Nick Baxter will be there. Ivana and Gabe will be doing seminars. I know myself, Kier Franklin, Jason Leeser, and Lauren Gregory with Raw Pigments will all be there. It's going to be a blast. If you guys get a chance, tune in. If you can come on over. And if you're there right now watching this, then come check it out and say hi. Let's meet each other. Let's see. We'll also be doing an art jam there, and we'll be doing some subscriber exclusive members meetups. That'll be cool. May 20th through the 22nd, 2022. Check out House City, Columbus. I went to one of those in Nevada, I believe. No, I think it was Arizona. Yeah, it was Arizona. It was a great show. It's always a good time with her. Go check it out when you get a chance. July 8th through 10th, 2022, we're doing the Rock River Tattoo Expo. We'll be doing a Reinventing track. We'll be doing some artists there. It's gonna be an amazing venue. Easy to get there from anywhere in the world. July 29th through the 31st, 2022, Rubber City Tattoo Invitational, Akron, Ohio, with Tony Urbanik. October 20th through the 23rd, we're doing the Tattoo Paradise Gathering, the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Yeah, last but not least, we want to thank our sponsors. TheWorldTattooEvents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Lots of updating as conventions are scaling like crazy. We're scheduling like crazy due to COVID and the after effects of COVID. InkjetStencils.com. Print stencils from mobile or computer. Save time, hands, apprentices' hands, webinars, and free samples. If you guys haven't checked those out yet, I actually had a chance to use one of the stencils in Gettysburg last couple weeks. It's incredible. I was able to break down my stencil, which is pretty wild how it draws, a lot like what we'll be showing you today. And I was able to break it down into 3 different values and kind of use it as a study while I tattooed it, which was a whole game-changing experience. And you do some real fine detail with the stencils and such like that too. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, go over there, check it out, ask for a sample, and get into it. We'd like to thank Raw Pigments, the ink company that's tapping into the source, rawpigments.co. No joke. Raw Pigments, I love them. Support them any way that I can. I use them. I'm switching everything back over to Raw Pigments daily. So give them a go. They're awesome. They heal well. They fly in. G-Lize Pro, we want to thank you too, known as Dermalize Pro worldwide. Protect the art. If you're using saran wrap, watch the videos of tattooers, see what it's all about. I use this stuff on myself. It's pretty good stuff. I've had some clients of mine use it, and some clients that I've tattooed for years have always asked me, where has this stuff been this whole time? Makes sleeping way easier. They love how it heals out. You can just pretty much stick it and forget it. Tattoo Now, we want to thank you. It's technology for tattooers. Check them out. I'm the founder and inspiration Reinventing the Tattoo, GuyEdson.com. We want to thank you very much for all the inspiration, for everything that you've been doing over these past few decades, bringing us all together on this phone. Thank you so much. I'm personally thankful for it. I was able to spend some time with him this last week and got tattooed by him. An amazing experience, man. I can't express how happy I am about that whole process. But if you get a chance, go to GuyEdson.com. He's got all kinds of his bio encyclopedia on there. He's got some DVDs on there. He's got machines. He's got paintings. He's got countless of other things and tons of information. But we want to give thanks to you. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. And always, if you guys want to zoom in, come on in and join us. Leave some positive comments if you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook. Join on in the conversation, and let's get this going. Let's see who's here. Hey, we got Kier here. Hello,
Hi.
Kier. How are you?
Good. I'm eating my breakfast, starting my day.
Awesome.
How are you?
Sweet. I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I was
Awesome.
super nervous about fumbling through that introduction, but you know, usually Lauren's here and that kind of helps me out with that quite a bit. But we all have things going on, so might as well jump in the deep end, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're technically talking to yourself. That's what I say all the time.
Right. Right. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely weird for sure.
Yeah. So how have you been? What do you got going on today?
Today I'm doing 6 little 8-bit Pokemon balls on this guy's forearm. I'm very
Okay.
excited for it.
Yeah.
Um, Drawing up this tattoo that you've kind of been helping me out with this little delicate flower arm piece that we got going on. Doing the classes, it's been good. I've been chugging
Nice.
along.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just got tattooed by a guy. How was that?
Man, I can't even begin to describe what that was like. It was just a great, great time, you know? Um, man, I don't even know where to start. Let's see here. Well, I mean, it was really cool because we were drawing up a concept. He had a concept drawn up for us. And, you know, with what I told him that I was wanting as inspiration for the design, um, I wasn't really seeing it in the drawing. I wasn't really feeling it. And like it was really cool because he was super approachable about, you know, me trying to talk him through like where I was coming from, like what I thought the intent was behind the idea. And it was awesome to experience that with him. You know, we talked and we nailed it. He gave me this design that's just out of this world, man. And not only that, but I feel super lucky because like I wanted it black and gray, you know. So he did some black and gray for me, and you know he's really well known for his color and stuff. His black and gray is color. It's just awesome. I can't stop
Well,
staring at it.
let's see it. Come on, show it off.
I can't show it off right now. I'd have to take this whole thing out of my arm and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Hold on.
You're wearing long
And if you-
sleeves in the summertime? What's wrong with
well,
you?
yeah, I mean, well, you know, like it's kind of that's not that stage right now where it's really dry. You know what I mean? And I'll be tattooing a little bit later
Oh,
and such.
oh
So you
yeah.
know, I'm not trying to get any of that gunk all over the place. You know what
Yeah,
I
you're
mean? Like,
right. You're being a professional.
we'll use that term professional. You know what I mean? So yeah, but
That's
yeah,
awesome. Well, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad
yeah,
that you went out there and got to experience that firsthand. That's an honor right there.
yeah. Tell me
Absolutely.
about it. Hypers. That studio is great. It's beautiful up there, man. It's always a good time. That's my second
Yeah,
time
that's
there.
awesome.
Hopefully, many more in the future. So yeah,
I know, right? You went out with
yeah.
Jason. It must have been a blast. That's your first time.
Yeah, that was an experience too. And actually, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that. I've been working on this. I just recently got Adobe Premiere Pro. It's a video editing software. I've been doing some editing for reinventing, like some of the commercials and such like that lately, which has been a blast. And I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff. But I've been using this app called Camtasia, and I feel like there's only so much you can do in there. And I'm really excited to get in on this Premiere Pro app and see what we can do. But speaking of which, with the Jason trip, I've been wanting to combine these two trips together, you know, because I got a lot of fun footage of both trips and everything like that. And maybe you'll hear my voice on like an overlay kind of, you know, audio thing.
Like when commentators are on a movie.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
I know, right? Tell me about it. But, so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so look forward to seeing some of that stuff. I've been up pretty late. I was up pretty late last night, kind of thumbing through it and messing around with it. So I can't get enough of it. Like it's like a new toy to me, man. So I just keep looking into all the tutorials and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
good
awesome.
times.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I see we have
Right?
Faith here too. She's working on something rad.
There she is. What's up, Face? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Well, you know,
Yeah,
just
it's
hanging
supposed to be
out.
Mars. It's supposed to be Mars.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
What do you got going on with that project? Is that a tattoo project, or are you just doing
I'm
some drawing?
doing I'm doing a tribal arm thing today all day. So I don't know. This is sort of
Oh man.
getting Zen beforehand. I don't know. This isn't really for anything.
Okay.
But
You
yeah,
just woke up and thought Mars, and you're like, I'm gonna draw that.
I did the Earth and the Moon at one point in another
Okay.
drawing, like really small. It's supposed to be like a planetary thing. I figured I'll add Mars. I don't know. Go through the planets. It was like a tattoo design. It was
Oh, okay. Right on. Huh. That's interesting. So with the tribal, is it going to be like a whole sleeve kind of deal today?
the
Would you
tribal. I
say?
think that's what it looks like. That was the
Oh, okay.
person. And
Okay.
I'm just gonna try and add. It's like a cover up
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
right
That's
there.
rad.
I'm gonna cover up that part right there.
Okay.
So we're just kind of working down the arm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try and add. I don't know. I guess this band right here.
Okay.
I haven't done a lot of tribals. It's technically my first one,
Oh, right on.
but I've been trying to do it. There's like a fireside video where he does Polynesian.
Uh-huh.
So I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
black.
I've seen that video actually, and I think he talks about getting in that Zen state with line work and stuff like that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about he does the lines and then he builds it up. Yeah, the line weight makes it thick and he goes in with like a 7 mag. So that's kind of what I did, except I used 7 and then I used a like 14 round shader to kind of fatten up the line. And then I
Right.
just kind of put the rest in.
I've been tattooing for a while, and I've done my very fair share of tribal,
Mhm.
um, quite a bit of it. And what I found that works for me really well is definitely outlining the entire piece. And I would go in with my like 14 round shader for sure, and then just get on all those bead points, like all your tapered points.
Mhm.
I'd fill them in about a quarter inch or an inch or so away from that point, and
Okay.
then I'd go in with my mag and definitely fill it all in after that. And then along the way, you'll see some little spots along the line work that you might have to get in there with your shader and stuff like that. Just kind of tighten it up a little bit. But yeah, as long as you stick with that method that you're already talking about, you should be pretty solid.
Okay. Yeah, the inside middle of it didn't look quite as dark as the rest. It was starting to turn white. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how to get
Right.
out of that? So I just
Huh.
have. Does that mean I need to pack it in more?
Well, it could mean a couple things. I mean, it could be that you're trying to pack it in too tight too.
Too what?
Did it scab up real bad?
I don't know. I'm gonna see him today. We did it on Thursday or Friday. I'm gonna see
Okay, I
that
think
top part right there.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, you might want to talk to him and ask him how it healed out and everything like that, and ask him, if you gave him specific healing instructions like that, see if he followed it. There's some variables that you take into consideration for sure. Uh, as far as like the way you took care of it is one of them for sure,
Sorry.
and just kind of go from there. And you could always hit us up on Instagram or on the messenger of some sort. You know what I mean? If you have any questions outside of that too.
Yeah, I think once I see how this heals, I think I'll just go from there.
Okay.
But he's coming back like 4 days later to do another one. So I wish he'd wait like 2 weeks, but you really wanted to get it done.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
Killer.
Yeah, that's my day.
Well, that'll be all day for sure.
Definitely.
But see who else is in there. Bruno, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
Bruno. Oh man, I can't hear Bruno. Bruno, I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
No. Oh.
Oh wait, we can hear you just really soft.
Oh really? Oh okay. I think it's because I have it on the speaker. I'm just putting it back on the phone now. How about now?
Gotcha.
Oh wait, I can't hear you guys now. Shit. I don't know what I did. Ah, there you go. All right.
How are
I
you?
think Hear you. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Sorry about that.
That's okay, man.
Hi, buddy.
What's up, guys? Good to see you. Nice hat. Oh yeah.
Thanks. It's my new hat.
Yeah, I dig it. Awesome.
That's exactly what I was saying a little bit ago, man. I was like, hey, look at that. You got a nice
Yeah,
hat.
that's a fresh hat. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great look here. You look
$7.
like you're kicking ass over there.
Yeah, man.
I know I'm getting started for my day. It's gonna be a good day. How's your day, Bruno?
It's starting pretty good. It's starting pretty good. I got a busy day, but I'm happy to be here and work on some charcoal and have a little fun with you guys.
Now, Bruno, you and I have done this before. Like you, me, and Kira have done this process before. Whenever we got into it, what do you think? What do you think that you liked about it most? Like right off the bat, like was there something that you experienced with it differently from drawing, like with like a regular pencil and like line drawing or like on Procreate? Was there a lot of differences that you noticed?
Yeah, definitely. It's like a unique medium. But it does have like some similarities to like other mediums. But one of the things that I really liked about it was first of all, that you could really express yourself pretty quickly, and which is pretty cool because you can transfer whatever you have in mind, relatively quickly into the paper and start to see it come together. So that's one of the things I really liked about it. I like, how moldable it is, how you can make adjustments very easily. And it's just an easy medium to use, it's like fun to use.
Right.
And those were some of the things that I really liked about it, how everything blends, how you can just create those really soft blends, things like that. But with that said, I've only done it a couple times.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Maybe we should dip into some here in a little bit and see what we can do, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It was fun though. A lot of fun.
yeah, I had a good time with it whenever we were going over it did about a month ago, I think, right? Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe a couple months, man. Time flies.
Cool. Well, I don't know if you saw, I sent the references to the
Got it.
RIT community. Okay,
This
killer.
one, right?
Yep, that's the one. Yes, sir. So it looks like you're starting with a blank canvas, so we can kind of go over the process again from the beginning if you'd like to. I think what I'll do is, it's up to you. Yeah, let's go and do that. Let's go and jump into that. Because there's some things that we'll cover after we go over this real beginning process with you. There's some more detailed stuff that I want to get into with how to achieve this overall look of, realism, quote unquote.
Oh, okay. Are you guys jumping back on something that you were working on already?
Yeah, I think where we left it off, like last week, we were traveling to Gettysburg and stuff like that, so there wasn't a whole lot of time for me to prepare for, discussing the medium and everything like that. But we're in it now, man. So if you want to, I know that you had some materials with you already.
Yeah.
You have your brushes and everything like that. Do you have the soft pastel brushes?
Yeah.
All right, killer. Let's just jump in, man. Start with some light shades. We're gonna go start it all over again.
So that's what you would usually start with. You would start with that brush.
Yeah.
Just kind of like lining up the proportions and everything in place.
So what I like to do with it at first is I like to go in and just get a nice kind of light tonal value over an area on my canvas. So right now you're using like some paper. So I'll just literally go in with like a light soft pastel, and I'm just gonna start laying some powder over the white surface and just get like a nice medium value going over the whole area. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and start, getting your general shape. And as you can see, I have it broken down into 3 different stages. I have some simple observation as the first one. And what that does is it allows us to kind of blur the image out, blur the reference out. And we're going to just pay attention to the overall shape and placement of these like 2 separate values, basically. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and share my screen. That way we can all see it a little bit closer, maybe. All right, so as you can see, what I was talking about was the, let's see. I was talking about this first step, simple observation.
All right.
And what I'm, right. So what I'm meaning by that is we want to blurry the overall image. We want to pay attention to just the simplest of shapes, and shapes being the flat 2D observable shape of the form before we turn it into form.
Right.
As you can see here, we have those squares for the eyes, but what I like to do, we talked about this before, triangles. I like to pay attention to where my light source and my dark source are going to meet up. And I'm also paying attention to the proportions too. So I'm observing these angles in the overall shape. And how they're all parallel to each other too.
And you're just gonna kind of rough sketch them.
Yep.
On the
and all I'm doing on the paper, yep. All I'm doing is I'm gonna be, go over to a charcoal brush. Charcoal brush. Go over to be compressed. Another layer here. Let's go and take out this layer we just worked on. So once we finally get going on a selected color. Like I said, I like to lay down medium tonal value, all the while observing those angles that I was just pointing out.
Yeah, I think I went a little too dark with the first layer.
The best part about that is that if you have a loose brush, and I suggested like in some of the materials that we're going to be using, we can use like a real hard bristle brush or a soft brush. Start knocking it down. You can start knocking it down. Or the other thing that you can do that I like to do is take my gum eraser, and that's when I start observing those highlighted areas.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. For me, whenever I see those highlighted areas, it also helps me kind of like map out the overall relationships of shape. So the cool part is that you can kind of gum erase it, and then you go back in with your charcoal And you can really start knocking out these relationships of shapes and their space, and their relatable space next to each other um, pretty quickly. That way you get a real fast study and we can start moving on to the detail.
Right.
And we can really start focusing after this portion of the drawing on relating our light to dark and how they interact with each other, which is actually what helps us make dimension, or the perceivable notion of dimension.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun, man, to do it this way.
It is.
It's always been kind of what I've been doing is applying this to my tattoo designs too. And I find it helps me kind of lock down my ideas for an image a lot faster.
Right.
And
Like the
to
rough.
me, it's, yeah, the rough, exactly. And I find also, Bruno, that it takes out a lot of the stress off of it being so permanent right away. Like we're always so focused on line work
Right.
right out of the gate, you know, and it's
Yeah, man.
really easy to get lost in where the placement of all these shapes and values actually go whenever you're focused on that. Proportions and this past week has been amazing. I was just talking with Kier and Faith right before he jumped on about how I got to go down to hyperspace and get tattooed. That was pretty awesome.
Oof. I can't even imagine. Actually, I can imagine a little bit, but
yeah.
But dude, what an experience, man. I bet you're like stoked, you know, like seeing that in the mirror and
Yeah.
having had that experience with Guy, you know, Guy's freaking awesome, and his place is it's awesome too. And yeah, man, that's great, man. I'm super happy for you, bro. Came out incredible.
Thank you. Yeah,
It
man.
blows my mind how quick he is, man.
Oh yeah, dude, that was incredible to me too. Like he had the, you know, the gesture kind of like shape down super fast. And then we took a break and came back at it. You know, we took a break about every like I think 3 hours or so maybe. And it took us about 7 hours, but and a whole outer half sleeve in 3 hours is like, well, yes.
Wild. Was it one long session?
Yeah, one long session, yeah.
Wow, dude.
It was easy to relax there though, you know?
Yeah.
It was super easy to relax there.
Yeah, it really is.
So basically, I like to use outside of the charcoal. I think I'm gonna switch over to what I usually use. I usually use the square brush in Procreate, the flat brush is what it's called. And I don't really mess around with too many of the other brushes except for when I'm making a stencil in my Procreate. I find that it adds to the nuances sometimes that kind of catch in some of these value studies. Once we get more closer to the value study and how they vary whenever we're covering a shape and turning a shape into a form, I like the nuances that they catch when it overlaps itself. Like a lot of little magic kind of spots inside those overlapping areas. A lot like oil painting. Sometimes there's some things that are not quite intentional, translate really well. People are reading your drawing or your painting. And all we're really doing is trying to convince a viewer of what it is portraying. We're trying to convince them that they're seeing something in depth and form. And really, we're just illustrating on a flat 2D surface. Some of the cool parts about the tattoo process, though, is that, like, it is on a form, you know, we have to draw sometimes to take that into consideration. Okay, I'm gonna finish this up real quick, and then I'm gonna see where you're at, Bruno.
Well, I started over
Okay.
because
Mhm.
I feel like I went a little bit too big, considering that I'm not really all that familiar with the tools yet.
Okay.
I'm probably better off just doing it a little bit smaller.
That's a good catch, Bruno.
Think so?
Yeah, you know, that's a good reason to go smaller.
Yeah, I think
Get a little
so.
more acclimated, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like,
Up
yeah,
here.
it's easier.
Seems too big. Well, the cool part is it's just a muddy sketch, so it's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I really like this process. It's like you just kind of keep adding and taking away a little bit here and there. And, while you're perceiving the relationship of shapes.
I really like
Cool.
the approach of, just kind of finding the triangles.
Yeah. That composition, sacred composition. Yeah, I've always seen the triangles thing, man. So it's like one of the first things that pops out of me whenever I look at anything, any kind of form. Is I pay attention to the basic shapes in there. You know, a lot of times you'll see, for example, in this skull, and with the reference that I put up on RIT today, we can break down these skulls into like a couple of real simple shapes, really. And for example, this one, a little bit finished version of this. There's a circle. This weird oblong kind of square here. And you take it away. There you go. Now, if you wanted to start turning that into a form, you're going to pay attention to the curvature of the front tooth area and how that would work as a cylinder. You can start adding some contour lines to it. Also otherwise known when it comes to light and dark shading and the relationships as a terminator edge, which we'll go over that today. Always break it down into the simplest form that you can right away. That way you don't keep getting lost. I think what we do is we see a real image of a dimensional image and we try to start replicating every single little tonal value right away. And what happens then is that we end up getting lost and we lose the spirit of the image. And we end up losing a lot of the portions. It doesn't look anything like we wanted to, and then we just crumple the paper up. All right, so let's switch back over to the main camera. Stop sharing. All right, we're back. Let's see how everybody's doing here. you got going on there, Bruno? Yeah, it's a good start and super solid start.
You're being very kind. I'm just kind of trying to use that triangle strategy again because when I did my previous one, like the proportions were way off. So I don't think I measured it correctly, and I think that I'm better off just kind of really um, focusing on finding the the shapes first, and
Mhm.
then once I know that everything is in its place, then I'll start to play with the lights and shadows. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. I think one of the things you might want to do that might help too is break away from this idea of like line work. What we want to do is we want to pay attention to just the simple shapes so that so like in that first blurred vision, what we see are just those oblong little squares
Right.
in relationship to that triangle in the highlighted area of the skull. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and do this again real fast. I'll go and share my content. I'm going to select new. I don't know if you can see here.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to get the 10 minutes reference real quick. Right. So I'll show you something, the other thing that I do a lot of whenever it comes to balancing out those proportions and placing them in the correct area. Kier talked a little bit about triangles this last week
Yeah.
in her strategies class and her foundations class. And she also talked about the golden ratio and how that can be broken down into measuring out a triangle due to its mathematical formula. One of the things that I noticed, and one of the reasons that I noticed these triangles that I see everywhere is based off of, if you guys haven't heard of it, like the geometric tree of life. That is a simple shape. I utilize, it's not that simple, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I
The
utilize
Ricardo
this
class.
shape, right? I use this shape to kind of like help me pinpoint my anchor points for these images. So I see in almost everything that I pay attention to, that I observe. This is octagonal kind of shape. And it has these anchor points. What happens is we have these lines that intersect.
Hmm.
So like the grid version that you might have learned, where everything's broken down into squares,
Mm-hmm.
all we're doing instead is paying attention to what's underlying in this grid pattern. You see where these points intersect? Right in the middle and the start of each one of these squares in this grid. So that's what I do when I pay attention to these shapes in relationship to each other. I will first see I observe first this rectangle kind of shape.
I see. Okay. So it's basically like a tool that you use to be more accurate with like how you measure the proportion.
It's not only a tool, I think that it's in the basic formula of life.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I think that this is one of the most key points, and it's in every observable image that I've paid attention to. Trees, fish, flowers. It's part of the golden ratio. This tree of life fits perfectly into the flower of life, where all you see is circles, when in all actuality, every circle can be broken down into these triangular kind of shapes. The whole point of the flower of life is these intersecting points and the voids in between them, and how life interacts once you get to these intersecting points of energy. I like to try to think of that in terms of my art and my life, and how these anchored points are relatable to every single proportioned image that I try to convey.
Interesting.
So you can see how I like run off of these parallel lines at the top of the skull to the back of the skull. It runs parallel. This part of the eyebrow or the brow runs parallel to this line here. This is parallel to the midpoint. Not outside of the nostril. Nasal cavity is also parallel. Now,
Wow.
and if you want to make it smaller, you can. Right there, you can see how it fits into itself. Cheeky.
No, it's actually not cheeky.
Whose cat is that? I like cats.
That's my cat, but I thought I had it muted.
Oh, it's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I gave her a little toy that squeaks, and she's been doing that for like 24 hours.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
both
she thinks
fun and annoying at the same time.
it's real.
So then, real quick, to demonstrate that off to the side.
Larry was asking, he's watching on YouTube. He said, so on charcoal, you would blur it in and erase areas?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. It's a good question. That's why I like to use those. So I like to use those pastel pencil or pastel brushes.
Right.
And an actual brush, I like to try to think of it as you're literally painting with charcoal. Nothing solid. It's all like an underpainting kind of style to it.
Right.
It alleviates a lot of tension. It alleviates a lot of pressure on you to try to make it a finished drawing right away. And in all actuality, what the coolest part about this process, what I've learned, is that it's going to allow you to perceive and observe these shapes, these simple shapes inside of everything a lot quicker, which will actually benefit you in the way of being able to draw a little faster and more accomplished soon.
Right. Excuse me. And do you sketch that formula design tree of life thing on the paper when you're about to start a design? He beat me to it. I was actually gonna ask you something similar. That's Larry.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll definitely will. I'll definitely put it on there. Make it real light. Even if it shows through on my finished drawing, I'm okay with it. But that's just me. You know what I mean? It might vary from each person to each person, but like that underlying kind of composition is always awesome to see a little bit. Sometimes some artists make it super obvious too, so it's not like it's not there to begin with. But yeah, you can draw it on real light, one of your lighter modes of value. But yes, you can. Yeah, this is
Another cool thing about charcoal is that it kind of sets itself up for you to find areas to isolate detail, you know, and kind of leave the majority of it, you know, kind of unfocused, and you know, direct the attention, you know, where you want to, and kind of like airbrush, right? I have a buddy of mine, he does airbrush. It's so clean, man. It's so crazy. But when you take a closer look at it, you know, there's only certain areas that are defined.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then the rest of it, you know, just kind of stays a little bit on the fuzzy, smooth side. And that gives it that like realistic look, you know, that realistic feel, because that's, you know, kind of how our eyes work, right? When we're looking, we're usually set on something, and then the rest of it just kind of blurs a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's why it seems so attractive, because it's in real life.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's also helping you tell the story of the drawing, right? Like finding the focal point and stuff like that a lot of times is like a hard thing to do. Like what you're doing as when you're entering that part of the drawing where you're starting to direct a viewer's eye. First of all, the underlying composition, which is that tree of life, I found helps out to expand it. Like it eliminates a lot of effort in doing that part of the drawing process. But you're definitely drawing the viewer's eye in a balanced way across the entire image, right? So that does help out quite a bit, and charcoals do lend to that really hardcore. It's pretty awesome. And I couldn't agree with you more, Bruno. It's pretty fun to be able to like see that and then have your areas ready to go by the time you get there.
Right.
I agree with you completely. And it's fun to stay loose. And then when you're not feeling the drawing, when you're not feeling like everything's laying out where it's supposed to be, I always go in with my brush and I'll just knock it all back down.
Mm-hmm.
Sets it all back down into that medium tone kind of area. And it allows you to kind of just get back into observing the shapes, the simple flat shapes, and how they relate to each other in their own space.
And your brush is pretty clean, right? Like the one that you're using for that is basically charcoal free.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can do that whole Bob Ross thing and knock it off. You know what I mean? A little bit on like your panel,
Like
or you
knock
just
the
wipe it off
devil
and
out of it.
knock the devil out of it. Yeah, that's what he used to say, right? That was awesome too.
Yeah, like taka, 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 taka. Just knock
Yeah,
the
yeah.
devil out of it, or something like that. He's
It
awesome.
was just
Let me
like
ask
that,
you.
and
So,
it's awesome.
for example, right, like in this stage that I'm in here, right, like I basically just started staining. You know, like just finding the dark areas and like if I were to use that clean brush right now, then like okay, after I use the clean brush, right, and
Mhm.
like to continue to saturate the darker areas, do I just keep on like layering the charcoal on top
Yes.
with okay.
You're gonna balance through. The brush is gonna help you saturate that area for sure. By knocking it down, it's gonna blend into the rest of the paper and the surrounding negative area around it. So between the brush and your gum eraser,
Yeah,
you're gonna be bouncing back and forth
right.
between the relationship of light to dark. So you'll pay attention to the highlighted areas, and then you'll pay attention to how that dark area relates to the curvature of and around that simple shape and its placement as well. Using those anchor points that we are talking about in the geometric geolite.
And with the brush, am I just gonna go like in parallel like that all the
I
way?
Mine, I literally just I will brush the whole thing all over the place in no particular order.
In
If
any
you want to
direction?
try, yeah, any direction. The reason I do that is because I don't mind the brush marks. I like the brush marks, especially once it comes closer to the finished product or the
And this is
finished
normal?
image. And
Like it's
yeah,
normal that
totally.
it will do that? Like it's
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You actually want that part of the process.
oh okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's still there. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not going to go anywhere.
And then you just
Definitely
keep
not going to go
defining it
anywhere.
with the gum eraser too.
The gummy eraser. Yep.
Like for the
Cool.
highlights, the lighter areas.
Yep.
Cool. I'm guessing that at this point, you already kind of like don't even need to use that grid, that flower of life grid, or because
No.
it's already, like it by memory.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I see it in so many things. I don't know if it's just me making it there or if it's actually there, but I'm going to trust that it's there. I'm going to trust that it's part of something bigger. And yeah, I don't really put it in there too much. Like lately on my Procreate drawings, I've been kind of using it as a really opaque kind of layering for my reference points and stuff like that. Like on Monday Night Drawings with Guy, when we're trying to get, not necessarily trying to speed through a drawing or anything like that, but while he's online and stuff like that, and we have him in class, I like to try to get as much of that image done as possible. And I've noticed that it helps me speed that process up a little bit, where he can see a little bit more of a finished image before we have to turn in our homework on next Monday. But yeah, to answer your question though, no, I haven't been drawing it in my images. I just kind of see those angles and everything, parallel angles, the intersecting points. But the more practice you get, the more you will not have to use it as well.
Exactly.
And a lot of people will do it a lot of different ways. A lot of people will kind of pinpoint the anchor points on the outside silhouette of the shape, like that being the outside of the skull. But I found that this works really well for me. So let's see here.
Yeah, man, you've been telling us about that from the very beginning.
For a little while. We got to introduce it as just triangles first, though.
You have to get that through our heads first.
Yeah, right.
I am.
Like, come on now, man. Yeah, so then I'll go in once I get my shapes pretty much generally where I want them. But I think they make sense. And I think as far as the observation on me being the artist creating the image, I think that I'll start going in and laying in a little bit of a darker value into my general shape areas. All the while paying attention to how light and shadow are relating to each other. And this process is kind of known as like a modeling process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people call it a bunch of different things, but it's referred to as a modeling process, and it was pretty widely used in the Italian Renaissance days. They would use it to help build the dimension in the paintings that they were making, and that's why you have a lot of those paintings that looked where they do at that time period. But they painted in dimensional forms using increments of value to show how light falls across the subject or an object. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do here is observe the light and the shadow and how they're married to each other. Without light, there is no darkness. Without darkness, there is no light.
That's right. That's what I tell my clients when they ask me for something really bright and contrasty. But I don't want any black. I don't want any dark. You know, I want it to be really bright, but only with light colors. And that's when I explain to them that, you know, there is no light without darkness.
Yes.
And they get it.
You get taken to school, son.
And they get a little scared, but then I smile. Like,
That makes it worse.
yeah, right. They get a little freaked out. Oh shit.
They're like, well, I'll be back.
I forgot something in my car. And I still got the darkness voice. Okay, fine. I'll be here.
Oh man.
Oh shit.
So with this pastel brush that I'm using right now, I have the square tip on it. And what I'm doing is I'm going back in, now that I have my proportions right, as far as I see them, I'm gonna go in and just start kind of chiseling out these other smaller shapes where I'm drawing from larger to smaller right now. And all I'm doing is staying true to the idea that all we're doing is using shape. I'm not trying to create form yet because we're not introducing a bunch of minutia of values. We're just sticking to 3 basic values to kind of help get the shape drawn in first.
Got it. And I think I missed the mark a little bit on that.
It's okay, knock it back down and then just start adding to it. And a lot of people that don't have these materials, what you can do is you can just use your pencil. You just got to turn that guy at a pretty hardcore angle. Hey, Jason's here. Let's see. Hey, Jason. Hello, buddy.
Jason, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, I
How are
was
ya?
watching you guys on YouTube as I was getting dressed and showered and all that stuff. I still haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm a little cranky. I apologize in advance. You guys have seen me without breakfast. It's not a good thing.
Mm.
You
I think it
okay,
went along
Jason?
the-
Yeah, I'm fine. I just haven't had breakfast.
Yeah.
As
I think it was-
Kira, she watched me walking around at Gettysburg like, you know, the devil himself. Like, I don't care. I need breakfast.
Yeah.
I need to feed now.
I think what happened was I heard, you guys have had breakfast? What? You already had breakfast? And I was like, yeah, don't sweat it, dude. We'll have second breakfast. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with second breakfast. I love breakfast.
Yeah. Second breakfast is the best.
I've also had breakfast dinner. That's delicious.
That's the best.
That would be considered Brenner, right?
I believe so.
My kind of dinner right
Just
there.
like breakfast for lunch is brunch.
Right, exactly. And then you got 11sies.
11Zs. Well, but you can only have 11Zs if you finish second breakfast.
Exactly. For all the Tolkien fans out there. Yeah, this is a really loose style of doing it. Not drawing.
Yeah, I couldn't help but jump in when I heard Bruno say there is no light without dark.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got to get in on this shit.
Why don't you fill us in on your perception of there is no lightness without dark, Jason? How do you feel about that?
They can't exist without each other. They're necessary in this world to create balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And not only are they necessary, but they're necessary in equal parts.
Right.
Right.
As much as I hate to say it, there's an absolute necessary for, no matter what you look at, right, in life, in the world in general. As far as philosophy goes, like, you can't have pure goodness in this world without pure evil. In painting, you can't have a perfect harmonious balance of light and dark in your composition unless there are equal amounts of light and dark.
It's a reality of duality, man.
It is. It really is. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And look at people like, going back to what you were talking about earlier on focus, right? Focus and detail. Bruno, I believe you were the one that was bringing it up, where by starting out bold and vague and working very, very loose, you can actually dial in that amount of detail, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you do that, it's actually a trick of focus, right?
Yes.
You see that a lot with Caravaggio, old Italian Renaissance painter. That he was notorious for using that. Look at Caravaggio's Saint Jerome is the perfect example. He's got like one area of very highly concentrated detail. And in the rest of it, it's huge smooth gradients with large brush strokes and very, very vague, because he only wants you to look in the areas that are detailed.
Right. Yeah, man, I noticed that on paintings that I'm blown away by. I look for it and it's there.
Well, yeah, but if you're not in the know about it, you're never going to realize that they're actually forcing you to look in a spot.
Right.
And that's what we try to accomplish with this process too. Like you were saying, it does keep some areas really loose. And by knocking it down, like I was talking to you about, that helps out with that process quite a bit. Because it keeps it blurry, it keeps it fuzzy. Yep, exactly, Jason.
Because you're a genius.
Oh man, no.
You might be a humble genius, but that doesn't mean that you're anything less of a genius.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, sir. Thank you so much. You're really nice when you haven't had breakfast. Who told you that you were grumpy when you don't have breakfast? Because you sound like really
Give it a minute. Give it a minute. Yeah, because I literally have breakfast.
All right, there you go, man. Station.
Yeah, Ricardo, when I went out to visit Ricardo in Illinois, he saw me the first morning and I was like, cool, breakfast time, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, let me go grab my bowl of berries.
I said, what?
And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I took like 3 containers of strawberries, 2 containers of blackberries. I think I had a big old container of blueberries in there. And, I just grabbed a spoon and just started digging in.
Yeah.
Nothing more refreshing than some berries.
don't know, I'm finding my gum eraser.
Well, I'm gonna eat my breakfast. I'm not trying to like put that out there and have everyone watch me like chowing down. So I'm gonna turn my video off. I am staying on, but I'm just gonna turn my video off.
Do your thing, man.
Enjoy, brother.
So I wanted to show what I have before I skedaddle.
Okay, check it out. Let me highlight it real quick.
Highlight the one where I don't have a video, because that's
Yep.
well, I'm gonna screen share in a second, so whatever.
Too late.
Okay.
Nice hat.
Thanks. Okay. Screen share.
To get hat.
Looking good, Bruno.
Thanks,
There you
man.
go.
Ooh.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fucking dark.
That's great.
Like the darkness, you got it real solid. What did you use to make it so dark like that? You just kept on layering it?
I mean, like, truthfully, there's not a lot of like real darks in here, like in the actual face. Like the
Like the
nose is
shadow.
the darkest point. But I just made the skull real warm and then just made sure that I had like a cool gray in the bottom left, so that way it just makes it pop forward even more.
Oh, I just realized you're using Procreate.
Yeah,
Temperature
I think
contrast.
it's the charcoal brushes. I haven't used those before, and it took a second, but I like the
Cool.
real charcoals better.
Yeah, they're
But I
fun.
just wanted to, like, I don't know, this is what I got, so good job.
No,
I
it looks
tried-
killer here.
Yeah. Yeah, hell
I
yeah.
did the thing that you've been trying to teach this whole time. So instead of like me actually going in and like trying to make a skull or whatever, I actually
Yes.
started out with the eye sockets as two, rectangles, and then just
Mhm.
built the contrast up from there.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it's working out real good. I like it.
Awesome. Yeah. That's the basis of it. Like a shape is the basis of any kind of like 3D form, right? So like the circle is a sphere without any light or dark. Or I'm sorry, a sphere is a circle without any light or dark. But once you start out with that basic, simple, straightforward shape, and you just make it a little oblong, then you're good to go. It's all very simple. That looks
Well,
killer here.
yeah, that's what I was working on. But I have to skedaddle to the shop now. I have a client
Okay.
coming in. But it was
Good luck
wonderful
with that
hanging
today.
out. It was nice seeing
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. Have
Thank you
fun.
for joining
Have a
us.
great session.
Thanks. Let me see.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye
Bring
bye.
those
See you later.
Pokemon balls to life.
No doubt, right? How about you, Bruno? How are you feeling on yours so far?
I'm still getting, familiar with it for sure.
Mhm.
Especially if I'm trying to if I'm not just drawing loosely, from my imagination, it's definitely a little bit more tricky now that I'm trying to get a specific result, but I'm getting more familiar, with what it takes to get some areas to be a little darker, to blend it in. And I've been listening to what you've been saying as far as just kind of focusing on, locating, your lightest areas and your darkest areas and all those things. I just been trying to apply those things. Like when I'm trying to define the eye, I'm looking at it more as, a square, a triangle, you know what I mean? Instead of exactly the way it is, just so that I can focus on those things first before I start, working on detail.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
yeah.
Hey, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Hate to jump in here, but you guys are both going to be at the Paradise BYOB, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Send me a list
Yep.
of materials that you use.
Okay.
Like not paper or anything, but like a full list. If there's anything specific you guys like to use, That way I can have it on hand and available for the collaboration room.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Because
Jason,
I might have mentioned this before, but I want to do a charity art benefit while there.
yes, dude.
I want to do a whole bunch of very large scale artwork and auction it all off for charity. So, and I'm trying to have as many, you know, what I like to call quick mediums available as humanly possible, like charcoal, graphite, even soft pastels, acrylics, watercolor, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you guys send me materials lists of what you like to use and draw with, we'll make sure I've got plenty of that available.
Awesome.
Okay.
Man. Dude, I can't wait.
Cool.
And they give it
These
away
are going
to
to be big pieces. Like these are, I'm talking like 3 foot tall by like, or probably closer to 5 foot tall by like 2 or 3 foot wide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude, that sounds awesome.
And let me ask you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Like for example, you know, after a big piece like that is done, right? Like with charcoal, what's the best way to keep it like from, you know, kind of spreading, you know, the charcoal spreading or whatever, like the way to
Permanent fixative.
That's
Permanent
exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Permanent fixative. Do not get the adjustable fixative.
Uh-huh.
The only thing you are going to do is destroy that piece if you try to roll it up. I made that mistake a couple of times.
Yeah,
Go with the permanent fixative, let it dry for like 24, 48 hours completely. You don't need to give it that long, but I give it that long just to be safe. But you have to affix it to that paper.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me too. Melissa was asking about the oil painting that I did and how well it held up whenever we traveled and stuff with it. And I'm gonna have to, if Melissa, if you're watching, I'm gonna be sending you a message real soon today, and then we'll get you going on some details with that whole deal.
Yeah, how did that go, by the way? Like traveling with it.
It went really well, man. I mean, you know, I didn't get as much detail put into it that I really wanted to, because I was going to be traveling really soon with it. So I wanted plenty of time for it to dry. So I gave it about three days for it to dry, and it worked out pretty well. No cracks, no tears in the
I was just going to
canvas or
ask.
anything like that.
I was going to ask how long you gave it to dry. So about 3 weeks.
No, 3 days. I gave it about 3 days. Yeah. So I used a Galkid solution or a Galkid medium, and that, you know, the only thing that I don't really like about it is that it speeds up the process, but I noticed that it will collect a different texture to the finished paint. You know, like it looks shiny, and it where other areas are more matte. You know what I mean? So it seems like it's like on a different layer almost even. Now, once you go through and you finish everything up, and then you start doing the varnish and stuff like that, it should even everything out. But yeah, man, that's the only thing that I don't really like about it.
Have you tried Liquin?
I have used Liquin. I've noticed the same kind of thing where it will, and then there's different types of Liquin too, right? Like some of them keep the brush strokes a little bit more. Yeah.
Right.
And then some of them will smooth it out a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I'm a big fan of, excuse me, of the brush stroke. So I use the other one, the one that allows for the brush strokes to stay. But yeah, I have noticed that it still has that shiny gloss to it though. So have you had that problem with it, or that issue with it?
It's been years since I did any oil painting, but I mean, I did notice that Liquin helped preserve those brush strokes a little bit better than the Galkin solution. So, but and if that's what you like, you know, if you like those brush strokes, if you like that very impasto kind of style, cool. That's exactly what you need to do. If you're going for more of a smooth, refined, like, you know, photographic kind of style, then, you know, maybe you'll look into using something like linseed oil or lamp oil, you know, something that it's going to kind of dissipate and smooth out as you paint, right? As you glaze over top of glaze over top of glaze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It'd be fun. I know we're supposed to be getting together this next week down in Florida. And I'm pretty excited to hit the store so we can pick up some painting supplies and stuff like that, man. And I know, Bruno, you've been dabbling with some oils recently too, haven't you?
Yeah, man. And I have some good news because my buddy Akira, that I've shown you some of his paintings that I was painting with him the other day, still life.
Mhm.
Every Tuesday, he's basically opening up his house so that whoever wants to go join him and paint. So today I'm gonna set it up so that, like, to make sure that it's cool that we can all head over there next Tuesday, man,
All
and have
right,
a
dude.
oil painting sesh with him. And
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still
Man.
trying to get my stuff together to head down there. It's still not a definite with me just yet. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I'm still trying to get everything worked out for it.
Right on, man.
Cool,
I
brother.
hope it works
Cool,
out,
man.
Tristan.
Hopefully it works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Got the Philly convention, the Paradise. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah, and everyone's getting new convention banners.
Well,
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Ricardo and Kira got like the test ones.
Come on, good.
When you come up for Philly, Bruno,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to make sure that we have enough room for like 2 banners. So not like full size convention banner. We're not going like 3x5. I'm probably gonna keep them a little bit smaller than that. But I'm definitely thinking going bigger than the ones we did for Gettysburg.
Got it.
dang.
Make a statement.
Yeah, I just thought they looked too dinky, like put it out.
They looked
Like if I'm gonna hang it up, I want to be able to see it from like a few feet away.
the moon.
Yeah. I think they look nice, but now that you mention it, like, I agree. I agree with that. I think they could look better, with bigger. Like they could make more of an impact. Like not better because they look good, but yeah.
I also want to get some table drapes made and a couple other like promotional things. So I'm still trying to work on all of that. I just had a big order of prints come in, so I have to get on that. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they want me to design them business cards. And it's like, just give me a minute to breathe, right?
Shit, man. Yeah,
Better
sounds like a lot.
busy than not doing anything, right?
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Man, I remember when I first started tattooing, dude, I'd be sitting in the shop for like 2 weeks sometimes just waiting for somebody
Oh, wow.
to get a tattoo. Yeah. You're wild. So I feel blessed, especially knowing you guys doing this app. All right. So I'm getting to a point where I'm gonna have to start checking off here real quick because I have a client coming in for an
Yeah.
appointment today. But I just wanted to show you guys where I'm at with my purpose process. And I've started introducing the charcoal pencil to it. And what I'm doing here is I'm basically tightening up some edges to give it that illusion of focal points.
Ooh, that's looking nice, man.
So I will show you what I like to do with this is I want to show it off.
You might want to spotlight the other camera, I think.
I'm definitely going to do that. And I want to show it off to where it's in focus and out of focus. Where like I'll bring it close to the image, to the canvas here. Let me see. Is that spotlight? Not going on, right?
Not yet.
Let me see. So it's from a distance. And you can see how I'm starting to gain some more focal points around the nasal area.
Mhm.
Wrong camera.
No, this is the right camera, isn't it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but the wrong video is pinned.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
There you go.
there we go. I just need to turn it horizontal. That was gained in my earpiece.
Oh, but it's not pinned yet, I don't think. No? Because I can't see the canvas. Canvas?
This one?
Yeah, because you can't see it on the main screen.
Okay. See.
It's on the art cam.
Let's try it again. Spotlight. Let's go. Is that better?
There it is.
Okay.
Sick. Did you
Yeah.
use just charcoal, or did you start using like pencils a little bit?
So I just used charcoal, and then what I switched over to some of the focal points is charcoal pencil. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm observing where do I want the viewer to see? You know what I mean? I'm still kind of playing
Yeah.
around with this background. I'm still not sure about the background. So I did this kind of intentionally, this area, so I can show you guys how impermanent this really is and how much change will happen once you start to soften it up or knock it down. Like I like to call it. You see how much more forward that nasal cavity comes now that I haven't touched any of that edging that I've done with that charcoal pencil. And you have that negative space, that white highlighted area where I left the canvas, the paper, or I erased it away. And
Yeah, man.
then I'll come in.
Yeah, the use of that pencil, the charcoal pencil, to define certain areas, like, did so much.
So that's what I like to try to do with this is I like to try to, now that you brought that point up, Bruno, the whole point of the pastel brushes and the knockdown technique is to be able to get the shapes in the right place. Once those are in the right place, then we can start going in with our edging tool, which is basically like a liner or a round shader, and we're just going to tighten up those little edges.
Right. Yep.
So once you have your shapes in place, then we can start studying into that layering effect that we were talking about.
Right.
The modeling, so to speak. That's where we'll start rendering, and that's where we'll start using those the values and the value shifts and how we are going to demonstrate and observe how light falls across an object, especially with the light source coming from this direction. It's going to take on the form, and we're going to try to create that rounded effect on that simple shape. But we're going to do that by using different values. So there we go. Finish it. Let's see. Turn this guy. Maybe move this spotlight real quick. All right. So pretty much it, man. Let's see what you got, Bruno. See what you got for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and pin you real fast. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. All right. So
I didn't get to use the pencil. I just started to like mess around with it a little bit, but before I did, I just pretty much used the charcoal, and I started by staining it with the darker areas, and then taking away from the lightest areas with the gum eraser, and then just blending it and then going back in.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I oops.
What's up, Lauren?
Hey guys, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't muted. I'm back. Happy to see you guys here. Hey Bruno.
Hey Lauren, how are you?
Doing great. Happy to see you.
Same here. Well, happy that you're here.
Yeah, I just got back from Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Chicago's awesome. I love Chicago.
Yeah.
I used to live there.
Awesome.
So Bruno, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through here real quick and I'm gonna show you some stuff that I think might help out a little bit. I'm gonna share
Yeah,
the screen real
please.
quick.
Please.
Okay, so what I see is happening with your drawing right now is you're paying attention to a lot of the detail where you're still trying to get the shape in first, okay? What I see you paying attention to is this little angle. Oh, you know, okay. You see this angle right here
Which one?
in the eye socket? Let me
Oh
do it
yeah,
in this
yeah, I see
brighter.
it now. Huh?
I'll do it in a brighter color. So
Yeah,
what I
I
see
was
you
just
doing
going
right
in.
now, yeah. So what you want to do is you want to focus on this part of the shading of that shape as before you start implementing that darker tone for that angle. You want to observe this rectangular or this like squarish kind of shape here first. You're gonna get that simple tone to make that basic shape.
Uh-huh.
So before you start adding that that darker value for that angle,
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
yeah, because that's what's giving it that oblong kind of look right now. I think if you go in with your pastel brush and just make that basic shape on it. It might help you out a lot.
So I basically was paying too much attention to that detail on the eye instead of the like blocking in the whole dark area, which is what I should have done, right?
Exactly. Exactly. We want to go from large to small. So what we're doing is we're focusing on just those simple shapes first. And then after that, we'll start adding the darker values in order to get the observable differentiate the different angles and the different like nuances as far as the form goes. And the form is evolved because of the light interacting with the dark. So the first step is not even to really think about the light and the dark interacting with each other. It's just a simple relationship of the shapes,
The shapes, yeah.
the shapes. And you know, whenever you see, I don't know, whenever you see a little kid's drawing, you know what I mean? They will always, when you go down the hallway or you go into somebody's house, they have them all over the fridge and everything like that. But you always have a kid's drawing. They'll have a square and they'll have a triangle for the house and they got a little circle, you know what I mean? And then sometimes they'll have like a sidewalk. And then when it comes to people, all they do is they draw like those little sticks,
Mm-hmm.
you know? They've been taught at this age, they've been taught these shapes. That's why they all look the same. Every kid has been taught these basic shapes, right? Rectangle, for example. They're observing the world around them in these basic shapes, and they're relating their world to everybody by portraying those shapes in an image. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So like that's their idea of a house. Like they can look at any house and all they're seeing, it's awesome because it's so innocent and it's so just simple and pure that they are just observing the simplest of shapes before
Right.
they're introduced into form, because this same shape, when you introduce light and shadow to it, the light bulb, then it starts taking on form.
Yep.
That's when you start adding dimension to it. So we're trying to break it down to that simplest, most pure, innocent kind of form or shape. And then we start paying attention to how those intricacies develop into the form. Kind of like life, you know what I mean? Like you start out with this grandiose idea, and bigger and bigger you make these issues in our heads, the bigger and bigger problems they become, when in reality they're the simplest of issues, which is just you observing, you making it real,
True.
making it as simple as you possibly can. So
One thing is for sure, that this is fun.
yeah, good, man.
The charcoal thing is fun, man.
It is fun. And like I said to you before, whenever you and I first did this a couple months ago, I was saying we want to start practicing this with the intention of being able to accomplish a drawing with as little strokes as possible, right? And what you're doing in that message, you're not trying to showboat, you're not trying to show it off. You know, you're not trying to be like, I'm faster than you are. What we're trying to do is observe the simple shapes as quickly as possible and their relationship to each other. That way we can start adding those extra nuances of light and shadow. You break it down. You break it down and make it real simple. The easier and the more approachable it is, the less likely you are to stay away from that. That's looking great. How you doing up there, Face?
Good. I just got to work. I was just seeing how it ended.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw let me put this little scroll back up here. You can see mine. I'll kind of go in through and spotlight it again real fast. Let me turn this around real quick.
Nice.
So like I was saying a little bit ago, I started introducing the charcoal pencil to it.
Mhm.
And I started basically just edging on my focal points where I want the viewer to be paying attention to. And a lot of that, like I was talking about earlier, does have to do with the method that field life method that I use. Later, I'll discuss the platonic states and how I use those in reference to light sources and such to kind of help us with rhythmic pattern and background lighting and such like that too. But I want to keep it simple for right now. I reference a lot of like the sacred geometry whenever it comes to shading, value, color, or reference.
Yeah, I took a rose and I blurred it in the beginning just to see what it would do. But it's pretty cool how it just simplifies the shapes when you use a blurry image. I never really thought about that. I used to use the posterize feature in Photoshop.
Yeah.
But I've never tried blurring it. That makes sense. It's like the squint, but
Yep.
digital.
Exactly nailed it. Got it.
And the squinting has become. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I tend to cut people off. My apologies.
No, you're good, man. You're good. No, I was just gonna say that like the squinting thing has become like a really important thing for me. Ever since I, started to pay attention to how important like identifying where the darkest areas and the lightest areas are to make sure that there's harmony in the piece, like I'll squint my eyes and right away I'll know if there's something off. And I do this not only when I paint, but when I'm tattooing and everything, for the colors, for the darker tones and the light tones. And yeah, it's just become such a great tool for me to do that, because it's almost like practicing on Procreate real quick to see how it looks, but in my mind, like with the squint of the eyes.
Yeah.
I wear readers, and sometimes I don't wear them. like if I'm doing a tattoo that's like soft black and gray realism, I'll take them off because it's easier.
Right.
Nice
right.
trick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My readers have turned into permanents.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
comes with more collected months under my belt.
I know. Yeah, I couldn't deal with like the looking down through the little glasses, so I just have nothing, no prescription at the top.
Yeah. That's what they gave me. I remember going to the optometrist and they're like, okay, so let's talk about some split lenses. It's like, no way, man. All right, fine. Let's do this.
The time has come. Damn it.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bruno, there you go. Just simple, 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 man. Broad, simple strokes, dude. I like to use the flat end of that pastel brush, that square tip. I just use the broadest part of it that I can find.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like what happens is it covers more space. It's layering those simple shapes a little bit more. It's laying them
Yeah.
in a little bit more. And once you start using the corners of it and the edges of it, it's like using the corner edge of your mag or something like that, where it's going to sharpen up those focal points. Like so, we want to stay broad. You want to stay broad as you can be and loose.
Right. No, it's more comfortable because one of the things that is making this difficult for me, or why I'm not doing better, is because the tools, like I'm still getting used to them, and immediately I feel like as soon as you said for me to use it that way, like it's so much more comfortable.
Yeah. And I like the way you're sitting back away from the picture and stuff too, and you're observing your reference and such. Another good thing to do is to try to keep your reference at eye level with the canvas that you're painting on or drawing on too. That way there's not a whole lot of shift in your peripheral and your plane of view. Because a lot of times when you are looking and you're moving your shoulders to look, it's going to change your perspective once you turn back towards the canvas. It's going to skew it. So you want it as close as you can be, like as far as the relationship of reference to your work.
Yes.
But I do like the way that you're sitting back from it. I try to tell everybody that. Keep it at arm's length. That way you can see a little bit more of the entire scope of the canvas.
Definitely.
It's killer, man. Well, I think one of the next steps you want to take, Bruno, is going to be start sitting back. I like to try to sit across the room, have the reference next to my image that I just created, and then pay attention to the relationships as far as the placement of them and the orientation of the proportions. And then once that happens, I'll usually turn my image upside down and I'll start paying attention to where I want the observer to see. And I will do that with that tree of life. You know what I mean? That'll help me kind of pay attention to the areas that might seem kind of empty to me, and where I want to fill it in a little bit more and where I want a little bit more balance and harmony. But that'll also help you gather some focal points for yourself too. So when you do that, start using the charcoal pencil and just little strokes at a time, just tiny little strokes along an edge at a time. Don't do any line work. Don't do straight lines. Just little small strokes. And then
Got it.
if you have too much of a collection, just knock it down a little bit with a smaller brush or with this charcoal nub, the stub.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use the corner, like the points and stuff like that, and just kind of really get in on those little small areas. And then if you guys want, go ahead and post the pictures up to the RIT platform. You can tag me in them. We'll talk about them openly if you guys are okay with that. If not, you can message me and we can talk about them. But I think it'd be cool for us to be able to all of us as a community kind of grow up with this together, which is the whole point of some of these videos and such. So why not, right?
Yeah.
I know for me, it's helped me out a lot. Like getting in front of this camera and being all uncomfortable and stuff like that, man, it's helping me out so much, dude. So I'm learning more and more about my process through sharing this with you guys. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, man.
Let's see. So it's about 10:46. I got about 15 minutes before my client gets here, 14 minutes before my client gets here. So I'm gonna have to start calling it a day, guys.
Cool, man. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you. Faith, it's always good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have a good day.
Have a good one, Faith, Ricardo, Lauren.
Bye.
Peace.